Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel is an empty triangle. Before I jump into this video, we left our last video off with the question of what rank did you think our opponent was that game? And the winner who guessed the correct rank goes to our alliterative king, Bob's Bad Badook. He correctly guessed that our opponent was 12K. 12K, if you can believe that from that game. Though, I'm not going to lie, I question anybody who correctly guessed that and looked at that game and said, yes, this is a double-digit Q player. You know, because I fully acknowledge that you guys can just go online and see the game. Not saying that that is what Bob did, but you know the word bad is in his name, so I do not know his character. That is all I'm saying. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a very impressive game from our friend there, and so I wanted to just have some fun with it. Anyway, for today's video, no secrecy here. We are playing against a 10K on OGS, and this game features a lot of bad peeps, and then a lot of weak groups, but is a very interesting game. So hopefully you guys can learn a thing or two from it. As per always, I would like to thank my opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I would like to thank my patrons for supporting these videos. So with that said, let's get into the game. Okay, let's go. We are black against a 10K today. So we will be focusing on the basics as per usual. And we'll go do our mini Chinese. This is actually what I do when I play my games, but with him attaching. Instead, we're going to extend. Normally, when you get attached to, you want to extend, and so that is what we're going to do. And then he's going to jump back, and we can play high or we can play low. I'm going to play low here because we already have a fourth line stone over here, and we want to balance our third and fourth line stones. And so now this is better placed if he does jump in here, so we can focus on the right side instead. So we will make our knight's move here. And he's forced to come this way and make a base. He could have taken the corner as well, so he wasn't really forced to. We could have taken the corner. So here we are going to kick now to try to solidify the corner. He probably should respond to this, and now he's a little over-concentrated, but not too much. This group looks potentially a little weak now, with him getting some strength over here. So I'm just going to jump up. This does get a little into the middle, but we want to get our group a little bit stronger. And so that is what we do. And so he's going to peep, and we are gladly going to connect here. This is a move that we are happy to play because we get more out of this than he does. And he's going to keep on pushing. I am going to Hane here. Hane on the head of 2. This will help keep him low, and we'll get more strength in the center, which will become important later. And he cuts. But this isn't this. I don't think this is a great cut. He made this group stronger, and so now we're definitely going to extend. The question is, are we going to extend this way, or are we going to extend this way? If we extend up, that makes this stone a little weaker. If we extend this way, it makes this group weaker. I'd rather make this stone weaker, so I'm going to extend up. And so he answers over here, but we have a ladder on this stone. So we are going to capture this stone, and that was the intent of pushing this way, is that this was the stone we were going after. Of course, now any stone he plays over here will come in sente, because we are just going to want to capture this. But this gives us some really amazing strength in the center, so this will work out fine. So there he does play this move. I like that move quite a bit, and we are just going to capture. And he's doing a great job of taking the big points here. The top side is still pretty open. This corner is pretty open as well, but it's a 4-4 stone. We've got some good balance there. So I'm just going to approach this corner and see how he wants to handle this. We approach low because he already has a stone over here. And so he plays on top. We're just going to Hane because we were looking to develop the top. And so we'll just go this way. And so he extends. We've got a few options here. We can attach, we can push, we can diagonal, and I actually like the diagonal shape, and so that's what I'm going to play here. This is just strengthening our group and pushing into the corner a little bit. He'll probably push on top, and then we can continue along and develop the top. But instead he tanukis over here. This is a little small. This top side and this corner were a little bigger. So I'm going to play an extension off of this corner to help solidify. This still does not claim the corner. These two stones do not claim our corner, but it still makes it a bigger area for us. This also takes away a natural extension from him. This is R14 is a move that he also wanted to play. Okay, so he jumps into the top. He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job of following the rules. So he is identifying a large area, and he's jumping in. And by him playing a third line stone, that tells me that he's looking to live here as opposed to just reduce. This corner is still plenty strong. I'm going to just take our natural extension here to get a base here. And then he's going to come this way. I'm going to kick again to help again solidify this corner, and I'm going to descend this time to try to take his base away. He shouldn't play 018. He played that pretty quickly. I was going to try to explain that. He should jump out, right? Because this kind of takes away the potential points up here, and so the center becomes more interesting. So so by him playing this, we have Sente now. And so looking at this board, the left side looks pretty big, and we have a pretty natural reduction move here. We also have an annoying reduction move here. We can also look at something like B6. And I think B6 is what I'm going to do here, as long as this works. And so that's what we're going to play. Because if we get a base, if we're able to live here and he gets outside influence, the influence isn't pointing towards much. And so we are just going to jump out now. He pushes, we extend. And he plays under, we're going to extend as well. I think this is reasonable. Just stay on top. We weren't looking to get points here, so I think this is fine. It's worth noting this 3-3, now that we've got strong stones on both sides, this 3-3 potentially becomes an issue. Going to play this move, which opens up this Atari. I don't know if that's actually going to be helpful or not, but it's there now. I don't like this shape, but that's okay. Okay, so he's looking to come out on top. I wonder if I think playing here is the better direction. We don't want to slink back and play on the second line. It's still a little early for second line moves, and so we will play this, and then he just extends. I think this gives us Sente again, and so what do we want to do with this Sente? He never did anything over here, so we can go take this corner away from him. We can look at taking this extension away from him. We can look at taking this away from him. And I like this one. Our corner isn't too large right now, so I'm going to play this. It'll strengthen it a little more and threatens to take his base away. And he goes to peep, and I will gladly connect here. So this is the second time he's done this. Make sure you're careful with the peeps that you're making. Make sure that you're actually getting something out of this, because this exchange fixes any weakness that we had, and it didn't really get much for white. And then he followed it up with a bad shape move with this empty triangle. And so now we can play something like this to really try to keep his group really crunched up. Now, if we play this, he's locally dead. We're not going to kill him. Like, the group isn't dead, but playing this will kill him locally. So if we find a way to surround his group, then we can play that to kill. So there's always going to be that threat there. Talking about peeps, this peep could potentially be something. And so we could play this right now and see if he connects, but I'm not sure if that really gets us anything. We also just have this Atari, and then we can extend. So how do we want to handle this? Looking at big points on this board, we still have, we are kind of getting to the point where second line moves are going to start becoming big. B17, as I mentioned, is large. F2 is going to be large. Q2 is going to be large. And then we've got, you know, kind of the big question mark in the center of what's going on here. I'm tempted to take this this Atari and then push to build some strength here. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this Atari and then I'm going to push. This group isn't alive yet, and so we want to make sure that it's in okay shape. This is a strange move. I'm not sure the intent of this one. It doesn't threaten the cut, because if he plays the cut, we get to net it. And he kind of played this near some strength now, and so we can just cut this off from his stones. And so now he's just going to let us push through. I'm not sure what white is getting out of this other than making a potentially weak group here. And so now we're just going to push through into his territory, and now we can continue to separate. We can look at this, but I'm not sure what that gets us, because he can't Atari, because then we would be able to capture these 3 stones. And if we played here, it's not like we'd be looking to get that. So I think just pushing through is fine. And now he's going to have to worry about the health of those 3 stones. And so I think at this point, this move is starting to become quite large, because this group is getting surrounded, and he's going to potentially run out of eye space. So let's see, we can take this. I think this is a free move. And then I wonder what's bigger, saving this stone or playing here to keep the pressure on these. And I think playing here is fine. We don't need to save this stone, because now we get 2 moves in a row, right? So yeah, he gets that stone, but we just got this, and we now get another move, and we've got a target here. We've got these 4 stones, and we're strong at the bottom, we're strong at the side, and we're strong at the top. So we can now play a move over here to block him, because his only direction, the only way he can run, is going to the right and potentially up here. So let's play this move and see how he responds to it. He's just going to cut, but I do not believe that cut works, because this group is plenty strong by itself, and this group is alive by itself. And so I think we can just continue to block his group. And so that is what I'm going to choose to do. And he is yet again peeping us. And this is getting really dangerous, because now he's made my group exceptionally strong, and there's not going to be too much that he can do against this now. As an example, we can block here, and as he pushes, we can now block, and the cut doesn't matter because of how much stronger this group is. And so I can show you what I mean by that. We're going to block, we're going to cut him this way, and we're going to block. And he's going to cut and Atari us, but all we have to worry about is this one group, because he made this group so much stronger. And so we're just going to keep on moving out, because as long as these stones do not die, then his group is going to die, because he's not going to be able to get these stones. And I will gladly just keep on keeping on. And we can Hane now. And so now this white group is starting to get in trouble, because he's fully surrounded. So he's got to be careful there as well. And so now he's looking to do something against this. But the issue is we're very strong over here. And so we're not too concerned about these attacks. And so I think we're just going to I think we can just extend here. We can also look at just attempting to cut. I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to play this diagonal and attempt to separate while also removing his eye space. Again, because of how strong this group is now, we can take this cut and isolate this stone. He's leaving us too many cuts now. And so now we can cut here. And we will obviously descend. And so things get a little tricky here. I want to play this move, but I don't think it's going to work. I actually may have messed this up a little bit, because if we play here, he gets to Atari these two stones, and then he can Atari this one stone, and then he can Atari these two stones. And if you guys can't follow that, if I play here, he Ataris these two stones, and then he can Atari this one stone, and then he can Atari these two stones and capture that. And that obviously would not be too good. So we can look at playing here. I think this is what I need to do, because we need to make sure that we can connect out. So that's what I'm going to do. Going to still attempt to stay ahead of these two stones and connect up with this group. And he does take the Atari. We will extend, and he connects, and we will connect as well. And now he has to start worrying about this corner as well. There are a lot of weaknesses on this board, including this cut. So we do have to be mindful of that. We will capture this stone, and he is going to do that. But we've got this Atari, and if he extends, we've got this Atari, and then when he extends, we have this cut. So we will trade these 5 stones for these 5 stones. So let's see. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he gets this, because if we capture, he gets to cut, and then that doesn't actually work. He got us, guys. I think he got us a little bit. So we will capture this. He'll cut. And we've got this Atari into this Atari into this. I'm not sure if that is big enough. We also have this. I don't know if that does anything for us. So is it worth taking these 2 stones right now? Okay, guys, it's in-game Sumago time. So our goal right now is to kill White's group at the top. And so I'm curious, with that in mind, how would you go about doing it? Do you remember the steps that I've laid out in other videos when I explain what we do when we're actually looking to kill a group? If you do remember, then where would you start, and what would your strategy be here? With that said, I think there are plenty of moves that will end up killing White here, but I'm curious if you have remembered these steps that I've lined out. And if you don't feel like doing the work, you can just watch me do it, because spoiler alert, that group definitely ends up dying. So where would you guys start? As per always, let me know in the comments where you would play here. I think it's worth going after the weaknesses that he has left behind, including this group over here. And so I'm going to see if we can do something here. So he doesn't have a lot of eye space here. And it looks like we've kind of got a dead shape forming. And so when we're looking to potentially kill a group, we want to, step 1 is surround, which we've already done. Step 2 is reduce eye space. And step 3 is to hit the vital point. So he's already surrounded, so we're going to reduce his eye space with a move like this to really crunch him in. He's going to try to get that stone, but we are not going to let him. We are going to connect. And now when we play here, this is a dead shape. So we're going to play here to force him to connect. And if he connects, he might actually be dead in Gote, which would be tragic. And so he's looking to cut here. We are obviously not going to let him do that. So we are going to connect. And he's pushing, and we are going to I don't think we're going to block. I think we're going to extend one more time. I didn't want this cut. And so now we will play here. The cut at R16 would have been tougher to deal with. And so here we can just connect and we are fine. And so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect here. And he goes this way, but this isn't going to work. We can just connect here, and he's not going to be able to get out of this because we've got this Atari into running out. Also, these two stones are dead. So I think he sees that the writing is on the wall there, and he is trying to expand here. And so I think we're now going to crunch this, and we can go over the same thing here. If we want to look at killing this, how are we going about it? Step 1, surround. He's already surrounded. Step 2, reduce his eye space. And so we will play here and reduce his eye space. I don't know if there's a kill here, and we're not even going to be going for one. I just wanted to showcase that it's possible now, that there might be a vital point to hit in here. Easy enough to start with just the monkey jump if we're just looking for a reduction. But if you wanted to look for a kill, we could potentially be looking at a move like C3 right now. But I think the monkey jump is a fine enough reduction here, and so that is what we're going to play. This will most assuredly end in Sente for us. So there is that. So he's playing there. He's got to be real careful now. So we can extend down, which is going to continue to reduce his eye space, and so that is what we're going to do. He's threatening to cut, so we will connect. And we kind of recognize this shape, and it almost looks like if we play here, white dies. And I do think white dies if we play here. But we're not going to look to kill another group. That is not... We are not in the business of doing that. So we're just going to play the rest of endgame. So we're going to descend here. Q2 is quite a large move. And we can also look at a move like this, which will threaten these 5 stones because we've got this Atari and then this way. This seems like an overplay. We can very easily cut here. And so that is what I'm going to do. And when he extends, he'll have 3 liberties, we'll have 3 liberties, but we'll have the first move. And so, yeah, so he kind of noticed that was there. This cut still might work. We're just going to threaten the cut. Force him to protect that. And what else do we have on this board? There really is not too much left. We can take this second line move, and we can Atari at B19. And at this point, I think this game is pretty much settled. We're fully in endgame. We're obviously going to have to connect up over here, and we will end up getting these 2 stones. And I think the whole top right of his is dead. So we will see you guys at the end of this game. Okay, and so here we are at the end of the game, and this one got a little more murdery than I like to do for these games, but obviously a pretty large win. But let's take a look at what our friend could have done better in a review, and we'll focus on his moves. But it's worth pointing out, according to the AI graph, he kept this game really close through most of Fuseki, so I think he did play fairly well at the beginning. Either way, let's take a look at this review. Okay, so we are mostly going to be focusing on his moves. Again, he is white on this game. So everything is normal here. I think all this is fine. I think this is a little early. When we look at this board and see where the open spaces are, the top and the right, and then these 2 corners are both more open than the lower half of the board. This is certainly not a bad move. I think it's just a little early. And I also think that this is fine. Taking the base, all this feels acceptable. I don't like this peep. There's potentially some Aji later if white wanted to play from this side, right? Because this group, if white gets strength here and strength on this side, then this group could potentially come under attack. But when you make this peep, you strengthen your opponent, so you have to make sure that you're getting something good out of this, and it does make his group a little stronger. But I don't think that was the best way to do it. He could have also potentially jumped out, and maybe that's a little stronger here. Either way, you're going to let black get the initiative a little bit, but that's what happens when you jump into an area where it's already 4 black stones. I wouldn't expect white to be able to get the last move here. And so he pushes here. Also seems a little off. I think just flying out, maybe playing a move like 06 would have been a little better. This is just a little slow and allows us to take the Hane. And this is the first move that really, so he wants to fight, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm a little concerned about this group. If black chooses to play this way, then you really need to do something here, and this stone doesn't look too great. Extending this way attacks this stone, but then if we get a free move over here, it doesn't look too great. And so I just don't think white had the local strength to play this cut. He did abandon it pretty quickly, but then gets this free move out of it. And I think this is a perfectly fine trade. This still when I took this, it felt good to take it. But honestly, looking at this board, especially after he plays the next big move, it doesn't, it still looks even, and AI still says this game is very even. I would have liked a more firm approach on this stone. I really like 017 here because it works really well off of these 2 stones and developing something large on this, on this half of the board. But he could have done, any of the 3 typical approaches. I think would have been fine here. Again, this is still a perfectly large move. It just we don't have to respond to it as urgently as the others, and that's why I'm able to Nuki here. He attaches on top and then plays here, and I think following this up is also fine. I think all of this is fine. I think the only part that white hasn't done too great with is handling this group. The rest of this opening, I think he did a very good job with, including here and taking this extension. I think this is all good. I didn't feel great playing this move, and white should not answer this. This is too early for a second line move, but I had to respect the fact that he's got a strong group over here, and he's got a strong group here, and that R17 is still available, and it can really muck things up. So this is it's large endgame, but this is kind of an endgame move. But white should definitely not be responding to this. If he does respond to this, he should be jumping out into the middle. There's really no points to be had here. And all this move does, it's a second line move. It's looking to secure life and or points. But he doesn't need either of those here. He can go in another direction. So this is where things started going a little downhill, and AI agrees this is where things start going a little downhill because he's able to give me big sensei moves. This is a tricky move. I probably should have played the simpler variation because this is going to be something that you guys are more familiar with. White will kick, will extend, and then he'll probably extend here. But this is fine. This is a fine reduction. Black is probably already healthy enough now and can even look at Tanukiing here. But we went here, and I think this is fine. I think he probably wants to stay consistent and maybe block, but I think he handled this well enough. This didn't feel like a great outcome for black. This is terrible shape. Just ignore this move. It should just be probably just the turn. But either way. And then he takes Tanuki. He takes his Tanuki. Pretty big move. I like all of this. Again, though, he's falling prey to these peeps. That kind of seems to be a theme this game, where he's playing moves that force us to play a move that we're happy to play. We kind of refer to these as thank you moves. I'm thanking you for letting me play this move. And then unfortunately he follows it up with an empty triangle. So anytime you're making an empty triangle, you know a mistake has been made when it's a situation like this. And so if this is your plan, you can't play R7. If he was looking to play S7, he should just play S7 directly. And if we take this, that's fine. This is better shape. This is just a little unfortunate. And it's Gote, so we get to go take the other side, and that's what we do here. And then he does the same thing of crawling back to the second line. And again, he's really only protecting at most 6 points here, but we've got reductions, and so he's really not protecting any points. And if that's the case, then he should be again looking to just stay on top. We could play this, and then he could jump out and build this way, get some strength in the center. Because again, there's no points to be had here, so there's nothing to protect. And so this lets us go up. We could have entertained this cut. Didn't need to in this situation, but we could entertain this because this group, if it gets surrounded, it's going to die. But playing here, perfectly solid. It comes in Sente, and then we're able to Tanuki, and so we go straight in the center, and all this is fine. This move was a little off. I think this move was a little off because it doesn't threaten anything. I could just Tanuki away from this. And just continue playing big moves like B17 or jumping in the center or reducing his corner. But I decided to push through, and that's the other issue with this is we're able to separate the stone. And yes, he did end up killing some stones here, but I'm sure that this fight could have gone much worse than it did for him. And we did get a little overzealous with our trying to kill this game, so we got in a little bit of trouble there. This is good shape, and I do feel like he needs to respond to this. But when we play here, you can't take this stone. This is too small. White's already alive, and so it gives us another free move. So backing up, I like bringing this up when we're looking at if we should be saving or sacrificing or capturing stones. It all goes in the same. So should White capture this stone? There are 3 questions asked. And the first question is, does this change the life and death status of any nearby groups? And the answer is no. White's already alive. Black's already alive. So it doesn't change life and death status. So then you go to question 2. Does this stone have any meaningful follow-ups? And it does have a follow-up if we save it. If White plays something else like here, and then we save this, there is a follow-up at A16, but it's not a great one. But there is something there. And then the third question is it simply worth enough points to capture? And the answer to that is also no. So I don't think this is worth capturing because doing so, it gives Black another free move. And we were able to start going after this group. And even though we ended up losing some stones here, this attack got us a lot because it did end up killing this group up top. And so that's kind of the theme of the rest of the game is White trying to manage all of his weak groups, because he's got a weak group here, he's got a weak group here, this corner isn't the strongest, this isn't the strongest, this still, like, none of his groups are like really truly healthy right now. And so after he gets this, it's a little tricky. I was being a little too bloodthirsty here. I should have just Atari'd and been done with it, because if he wants to extend, we can do this, and this is most likely going to kill these stones. We can even give up these 2 stones if he wants to do this, because if we go here, things get a little tricky, because if we don't play here, then this dies, and he can do this. Then he can go there and get these stones, and so that's not that great. So if he cuts here, we could probably just do this, give up these 2 stones, and call it a day, but that means that we get these. So anyway, this was a little too bloodthirsty, and I did end up paying for it. Again, so I think he handled this well enough, except for just following this out. There's nothing to gain here for White, because there's really nothing to be had here, which is what he's building his wall towards, and giving me this infinite amount of strength is what ended up killing this group. And once that group died, that was kind of it. He did do a good job here. I will absolutely give him that. That he fought very well here to end up getting these 5 stones. So definitely nice work there. But the writing is on the wall at this point in time, because we're able to kill this group, and we were probably able to kill the corner, though I'm sure there was a way for him to save it. So yeah, so at this point, things just kind of start crumbling apart, unfortunately. But he opened this game very strong, and I think his fighting is reasonably strong for players of his rank. I'm sure he does fine when he is fighting against other 10K players. So that is where we're going to end this one. Thank you guys for coming out for another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.